Welcome back to the Joystick Show, where three friends from high school in Hawaii talk story about comics, video games, and pop culture. If this is your first time, mahalo for spending some time with us. I'm your co-host, Thomas, and I am here with co-host Drake.
What's up?
And we are super honored and just thankful that he's here and wanted to talk to us. But we are here with writer and creator Allen Dunford. How you doing, Allen?
Don't worry about me. I'm so happy that you murdered that intro just now.
Oh,
because
wow.
you were so worried.
I know. Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
God. Someone called the police. There's been a murder on the scene.
Second time's the charm. You know,
He's talented and generous. Here we go.
I know. Geez. Well, we love you. We everybody buy this book because he's the man. No,
I think we're done with the intro, right? So we're done with the whole show now.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, thanks for that.
Yeah. We'll
thanks, guys.
hashtag and at you, and we're done. No, we have too many great things to ask you, and like I said, I didn't get to go through the full run of the first volume, but I got 3 issues in, and I'm a huge fan of the book already. And it's called Pocus Hocus, and it was just awesome, dude. I loved it. The art in it's incredible. The story is really captivating, and I was surprised about how funny it was. But first off, I want to know. Let's see. It says on Kickstarter that you and your co-writer Will Radford met in high school, but where specifically did you guys meet, and how did you guys come up with the idea for this comic, or was it there from the start?
So Will and I, God, it's crazy to think about it because we've been friends for half of our lives now at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think we met when we were 15 or 16, and I just turned 33.
Lads.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy. So we met junior year in high school. The class was advanced communication.
Oh, nice.
And it was one of those sleeper classes, right? Like everyone just sat there and we did nothing. Unfortunately, cell phones weren't that advanced yet, so we couldn't chill.
Hey, believe me, I get it. My degree's in communication, and so I completely understand what you're talking about.
See, that's what sucks though, right? Because once you get out of high school and actually take those classes like advanced communications that's not taught by the football coach, like that's when you really get all the juicy details and you find out, hey, I really love this, right? But at that time it wasn't. It's like driver's ed. You know, you just take it, you just gotta do. So Will actually he initiated the conversation because I was wearing a Quentin Tarantino Death Proof t-shirt.
Sick.
And Will's like, hey, I like your shirt. And then after that, we just became best friends because we bonded over film. And that's still one of the big things that we talk about to this day.
Nice.
Oh my God, that's incredible. It's not very much unlike how me and Drake met.
Oh, really? How'd you guys meet?
Yeah.
Other than Match.com, how else did you guys meet?
That's right. Actually, it was J-Date.
It was.
But no, Drake, you could take it away. But we've told this story on the show before. But I mean, it all comes back to middle school. Yeah, go for it, Drake.
No. Just like he said, setting the scene, we were in middle school. We were in one of those first days, right? Thomas and I were kind of late to class, and we were kind of loners. I had come from a different city, and he had just come from a private school. And so we're sitting in this like circle.
He's gonna drop in the private school.
Oh, sorry. I mean, because you did though.
Listen, Will went to private school.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm the Will.
He went to private school before he transitioned to public school.
There you go.
With us commoners. Yeah.
Nice. I'm the Will in your story.
I know how you feel, Alan.
Yeah.
So we're sitting in the icebreaker circle, and our teacher, Miss Rodriguez, for I think this was a science class, was tossing around a koosh ball. And so every time somebody had a koosh ball, we would say some things about each other. At this particular time, we had to share something that we had from home. And Thomas and I both didn't have anything. So we like looked in our bags real quick. Thomas ended up showing his Oakley wallet. And to be honest, I don't remember what I ended up showing. But we became friends after that because his dad worked for Oakley. And then my dad was also a sales rep at the time
we're both
for
slackers.
Yeah, we're both slackers. And then,
Perfect.
And then we've been married ever since. So.
And then here we are.
Exactly.
Then we got this new baby called Joystick.
Yeah,
right?
Right. Yeah. As Kevin Smith says, like hetero life partners. So here we are.
So yeah, like I said, man. So Will and I, we've always stayed in contact, no matter what. We went to 2 different colleges and everything. Like 5 hours apart from each other, stuff like that. But we always still maintained our friendship. And now we both live like 15 minutes from each other.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So
The dream.
it's really so it's really cool though to be able to get together and write all the time and stuff. So that's when we have our best moments. We would if we're too busy, we'll call each other and just kind of brainstorm and just put a storyboard together. But
Okay.
we really get the chunk of our writing done when we're together and just feeding off the energy in the room and everything.
Man, I love that.
But yeah, so the story for Pocus is actually very underwhelming. Because
No way. It's overwhelming. I mean, it's so great. I don't feel like it's underwhelming at all.
Yeah.
I feel like you're being too humble about it. But why do you say that?
Okay, because everyone that I've talked to that is in this medium that has done comics, they have this beautiful story about how they made this character because they were going through a troubling time, or they worked on this story forever, and then they finally got it to where they wanted it to be because comic books has always been their love and their passion, and they have like all this collectible stuff that they had when they were kids. And the story for Pocus came about because I called Will up and I said, "Hey, I think I have an idea. Do you want to do like a comic book or something?" And he was like, yeah, it's during COVID. And he was like, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else going on. And I was like, okay, well, I'll be over at your apartment probably next week. And then we just bounced ideas off of each other. And I told him I had this idea for Pocus Hocus. And the book was a little bit different at first. It was originally set up. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the comic book series, Ice Cream Man.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay. So it's one of my favorite TV shows of all time is Twilight Zone.
Oh,
and
okay.
Ice Cream Man set up like that. It's episodic. You can jump in at any point, and it's just like a weird story. And the idea was it was going to be called The Magician, and it was just going to be kind of like body horror stuff like that. And then the more we talked about it, we're like, yeah, well, let's just make this like 4 issues maybe, and see where this goes. So let's just have a fun hobby. And then we released it on Kickstarter for issue 1, and it did okay, respectable for us not having anything to our name in the comic book stuff. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know what drugs we fed people, but issue 2 like blew us away with the reception that people gave us. And then we started working on issue 3, and in the middle of us working on issue 3, we got picked up by a publisher. So that was pretty surreal because this is still our first soiree into doing anything comic book related. Like, because I come from a music background and Will comes from film and theater. So it's just, it's kind of crazy just how fast we feel like everything's happening. We're so lucky.
Well, it's that good. So I don't know. If
well,
it's all
I
luck.
appreciate that. Like, we'll get into it, but we are our own worst critics. But I'll tackle that imposter syndrome here in a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like we are like the same people on opposite ends of the coast. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. But yeah, so without saying too much, because we have to do kind of keep everything secret. Expect to see Pocus Hocus on comic book shelves this year. And it's kind of crazy to think about. We have something that's going to be nationwide.
Oh yeah,
and in Diamond and previews. You know what I mean? It's just it's. I never thought. You just don't think it's going to happen. Yeah.
No,
maybe none of this is actually happening. Maybe I caught COVID and I've just been hallucinating this whole thing. I'm just going to wake up and it's like still 2020.
Yeah. For people who've watched Alice in Borderland season 2, you're just in the Borderland right now.
Yeah, I'm just in Borderland, man. I'm going to wake up and they're going to be like, Alan, what was all this comic book stuff? You've been out for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, just keep riding the dream because it seems to be working. My thing, I have a question for you. Because online on Kickstarter, it says you are a fan of dark comedies. My thing was, what is your favorite dark comedy?
Please.
Oh, God. And I don't know if this would define itself as a dark comedy because it's real dry, but it might. Yeah, it does. I'm going to say it here. It does. The movie Thank You for Smoking with Aaron Eckhart.
Thank You for Smoking. Okay, yes. I don't know why.
He plays a lobbyist for Big Tobacco.
Yes. I feel like my memory is intertwining with the Golden Arches movie with Michael Keaton, where he's like he steals a McDonald's idea and there's lobbying for that too.
The founder. Yeah.
The founder. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Thank You for Smoking is to me, it's one of the funniest movies ever, but it's just so dark and cynical.
Yeah.
And I love that, and that's some of the humor that we always try to portray over. And it's cool though to bounce ideas off of each other. Will, if you ask him, he'll say that I'm the quick, zany, punny one. And then he's more of the dark, dry, socially awkward humor. And we try to really marry those two ideas together and make something fun and unique in Pocus. And we feel like, now this could be me just guessing at it, but we think that comedy is probably the hardest thing to capture because everyone's taste is so different. And I think with Pocus, we don't try to make other people laugh. We try to make ourselves laugh and hope that then it comes that way. So when we're doing our screenwriting or our script writing, I should say, it's one of those things where we're fucking dying, laughing so hard.
All right.
And if we're not making ourselves laugh, then we don't feel like we can at least make anybody chuckle.
No, totally.
So,
and that's, which is what, like, one of the questions I had written down. I mean, we're already there, but it's like, and you answered it, which was going to be, hey, I noticed how funny this book is. And it's dark and it's ominous sometimes, but it's so funny. And I was going to be like, did you guys intend it? But obviously you did. And it's like, to me, it translates. Like, I was not expecting when I first saw the cover and Frank was telling me about it. Shout out to Frank for Geek Freaks for setting all this up. But, I was reading, I'm like, man, I actually am laughing out loud to this book and I did not expect it.
That's awesome to hear because, like I said, again, we're our own worst critics. And especially with issue 1, it's just funny to think about where we are today in the story and with our writing and how much it's evolved, and especially with the team, because I'm not saying that issue 1 is bad because we love it. It was our first child, right?
Yeah.
But it's just we all were figuring each other out. We were figuring out. Will and I are figuring out how to put a comic book together. Brian, our illustrator, is figuring out what's the tone of the book. How do we make these characters look? Jason's figuring out color palettes, and then Dave, our letterer, is just trying to keep us all together because he's probably the most seasoned out of all of us. So he's the one that's really being the project manager and just trying to keep everything together.
Nailed it.
Awesome,
I mean,
though.
for real.
Yeah,
Especially in this time, the book in itself, all 4 of them put together, you can really hear the comedic tone. And in speaking to you, the book makes more sense. So I think even now, for like a very social media heavy, when all of your viewership starts to meet yourself and Will, I really think they're gonna want more from you. So hopefully we do get that once Pocus Hocus takes off. Thank you.
Man, and the crazy thing too is to find, I don't even like using this term, right? Because we're still self-funding and everything like that, but it's crazy to think about, like, we have a fan base now, and it's wild to think that would ever happen because there's so much stuff, and it's not saying Will and I don't put our heart and soul into this thing, but we've done other projects. Like I've done music, put out albums and stuff, and Will's worked so hard on short film and screenplays. But then the one thing that we decided just to do together, just to have fun with, was the one thing that actually grew legs. And it's just so crazy because it's stuff you don't plan for.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, much like you, this was a pandemic hobby that me, Drake, and our friend Scott got together. And at the time, our other friend Kobe, and we were playing games and talking about movies and comics and video games. And we're like, what if we just record it? And here we are, almost 80 episodes later and thousands of plays. It's right? Like, what?
What's happening?
I know. I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about at this moment. And I'm still like, wait, James Gunn liked our tweet? Wait, we're talking to Allen Dunford of the comics? Wait, we got to talk to the Sandlot? Like, it's crazy, So I completely understand what you're talking about, and well-deserved, all I can say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you guys too, man. And it's one of those things where it's also wild because then we released our sophomore series, which was Grandma Chainsaw.
Right.
And that thing's slated just to be 4 issues. And we got picked up by the same publisher for it when we were only like 6 pages done with the actual illustrations, and they were like, we love it, we love the idea, because we obviously we don't want to give too much away, but we told them the ending and how where the series is going and stuff, and they were like, yeah, great, we want it, we dig it,
nice,
and just let us. It was simply just let us know when it's done. It's like, okay,
oh my God,
we will.
That has to be amazing. That's just like what a feeling.
we use the same team from Pocus Hocus on Grandma Chainsaw. We like to try to keep everyone the same, just because some people might disagree. We feel like it gives us an identity. Just
Yeah.
all of us working together as one cohesive unit, and plus, like Brian, Jason, and Dave have just been so instrumental to everything. Like, I know that I would not be sitting here talking to you guys if it wasn't for the combination of those three together.
That's awesome.
And always want to give them a shout out, no matter what, because this is at the end of the day, it's a team project. All I can do is kind of put words on paper, and these guys are the ones that really just make it come to life. And it's just I just feel like we're a well-oiled machine at this point. And again, I always want to sing these guys' praises.
Man, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. We haven't written a comic book, but the podcast, we are the Joyce Show, this team, and it runs and it flows, and we found our voice, and it has a rhythm now and a heartbeat, and it's because of all of us together and that input. So that's awesome that you have found that, and shout out to you as well and the rest of your team that you've made something so damn exciting and cool.
Yep. Well,
I Drake, I don't know. Do you have any questions that you want to shoot out to him?
So you and you and Will are in West Virginia. Is the rest of your team in West Virginia? You guys working? How are we putting all this together?
I wish we all were like just in like one of those think pods, right? we could all like hang out and everything. You
could get a WeWork.
Yeah, right. So our letterer, Dave, he's in Pennsylvania. He's the closest one to us. And then Jason, he's pretty far west. I'm pretty sure. I think he's in like close to Arizona. And then Brian, he is actually in the future. He lives in the Philippines, so he's 13 hours ahead of us. Yeah,
very nice. There you go.
So it was just kind of crazy how like, we got everyone together because a good friend of mine, Mike Teener, who is the editor-in-chief over at Bad Bug Media, he was the one that really helped us get started because he gave us a list of colorists that he thinks would be good for us for what we were going for, and then he gave us a list of illustrators, and then he only gave us a list of one letterer. And I'm just so happy it happened how it did. And really couldn't be happier. I actually met up with Dave over last summer. I went to go visit him, and we went to a folk festival, not like folk music festival, which is what I originally thought it was.
That's what I thought it was too,
dude. No, it was wild. It's called the Kutztown Folk Festival, and you walk in there and it's like you step through time, and it was the most bizarre thing because all the everyone that had to work there had to dress up like they were like early pioneers and stuff. So it got like real Handmaid's Tale feeling, right? Yeah. Like you walk in, you're like, oh God, I shouldn't be here, right? But then they had this ox that was just like living like an hour ago that they gave you like ox burger and crap like that. Like it was wild.
Wow.
So I'm already overstimulated at this point. And then I turn a corner and there's literally a gallows with a noose.
Wow.
At the top, because every year they reenact the last hanging that happened in Pennsylvania.
Intense.
That's strong.
Dude, like I was like, what the hell? Dave didn't tell me that part was going to happen, and he probably left that quiet for a reason because I was like, I have to know more. This is crazy.
So you got to witness
Pennsylvania know how to party.
That's cool.
Well, no, so I had to look up a video on it because they protested the hanging that year. Because
I could see why, probably
the story, like, no, believe me, I get it. Like, should it be there? No, but was there a part of me that was wanting to just sit back and just like have that
unfold?
Yeah, experience. Just like the secondhand embarrassment of just watching them actually drop a doll and hang it and tell the story of the last person that was hung.
Okay, well, what was it around? Was it around like some type of witch, or was it just like? Was there some mysticism involved in this, or was it supposed to be historically accurate?
It's very historically accurate. That's the whole thing. Dark. It's supposed to be so historically accurate with like how they do stuff, sell stuff, because everything's like a wooden booth and stuff.
Yeah,
dude, it was bizarre. So yeah, and that was my trip hanging out with Dave.
There you go. Wow. You know what though? I mean, based on what you just told us about that experience, I can see a lot of inspiration maybe that transferred over into Pocus Hocus and probably Grandma Chainsaw, right? I mean, there's there's definitely some darker tones and kind of this old, not old, but like historical moments that are brought to life through the comic.
Yeah. I love Victorian era stuff. I just I love the feel of it, the look of it. One of my favorite video games of all time is Bloodborne. And I really wanted just to capture that feel of the architecture and stuff. And Brian was just he was just a perfect choice. But you know, to my discredit, I was never a big comic book guy. Like as a kid, I read comic books, but then I got older and, you know, I got more into novels. And the only comic books I ever really read was like the usual suspect stuff. Like if something's famous, you know, I read Watchmen, V for Vendetta, 300. Like you read that crap, stuff that's getting made in the movies just because you're curious.
Sure.
But what really got me into the medium was actually reading manga. And it's kind of crazy though, because my first manga that was the drug that got me into it was Death Note. And it's funny though. Well, it's crazy though, because like after we finished, like I think issue 2 of Pocus, you take a step back and you look at it and you read it and you're like, huh, this is a lot like Light and Ryuk's relationship. And it was stuff I didn't think about at the time when writing this thing, but it's kind of cool to see your influences there and everything.
Right. That's amazing too, that you were influenced by it and that you kind of forgot that was the influence. And then going back to it, you're like, oh wait, this is probably where this idea came from in a sense. And you made it your own. That's super cool, which I can see it now that you talk about it with the demon and Pocus, like it like totally makes sense. So yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
It's one of those things too, where we're very realistic about ourselves. We know that what the story we're telling is one of the oldest stories ever told, right? It's been told a million different times. For God's sakes, there's a song about someone going to Georgia to sell their soul, right?
Right.
So we just had to try to find a way to twist it and make it our own with our own voice without stressing too much about making it different, because I think some people can get lost that way. Like, you know, there's, I mean, you know, look at Marvel, for example. I mean, every movie fundamentally kind of follows the same story beats and the same plot point, and you know, you kind of know where it's
going. There's a formula there.
But everyone has their favorites, and they just do stuff different enough to where it sets it apart tonally and everything. And that was something we tried to capture with Pocus, because the Faustian stuff, like we said, it's so old and so overdone, but we just love that story.
Yeah, I like, now that you mentioned when you were talking about Death Note, like I can see the influence there, but I didn't even piece that together when I was reading it. I feel like it felt like something classic, like a classic story that you would know, but in a new twist for me. And so I did not feel like it was, you know, it feels truly original to you guys, for me. And
thank you. I
thought that was awesome. Yep. I think there's another thing that popped up where you kind of touched on it a little bit, but your influence from manga. What else currently that's in pop culture is influencing this comic or the stories that you write?
I think trying to branch out and just find weird stuff, right?
Okay.
I've been watching a lot more horror than what I normally do. Like I'm a huge fan of, you know, the classics like Evil Dead and everything. I mean, hell, I have an Evil Dead sleeve.
That's
for God's sakes.
Man.
But
dude, that skull that is on the bottom, that's tight.
Yeah, and then
you got to post that.
But I got Bruce Campbell, and then I got the skull from Evil Dead.
Nice.
But yeah, man.
What did you think about Multiverse of Madness, since it was a why am I blanking on the director's name right now? Sam Raimi film.
Sam Raimi.
Did you like it?
I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan. Like the dude, it could just be an hour and a half of him making breakfast, and I'd be like, this is brilliant. No one else is doing this. You know, dude, yeah. But it's funny though, because thinking about, I wouldn't say that it would be current, but I guess it now is because of Rings of Power. My favorite lore is Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth, however you want to look at it.
Right.
And that kind of storytelling was stuff that I wanted to capture as we progress further in Pocus by giving you bits and lore and working in this high fantasy world. I didn't want to throw everything at one time, because then it would just bore the hell out of people.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why we try to drip feed and introduce new characters and little nuances and little subtleties that they say to help build this world of Pocus Hocus.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And I
but
think
no,
you did it.
yeah. So what I was saying earlier before I got sidetracked on all my other stuff, A24 films like stuff like Hereditary,
Yeah.
crap
That's
like that.
great. Yeah.
Like I want. I want those feels. Like I want someone to watch this and be like, man, or read this and be like, that was crazy. That was original. I didn't see that coming. Because I feel like A24 is doing it right with a lot of their movies, with how wacky and crazy they can be, and yet still be culturally acceptable and critically acclaimed. Because I feel like 10 years ago, this stuff wouldn't have survived. Right.
10 years ago,
Or
Everything Everywhere All
yeah,
at Once is not winning a bunch of Golden
no,
Globe awards,
no,
and the
God,
Daniels
no.
are not
It,
recognized and all that.
it
Yeah.
dies in some obscure category in some dude's closet because he only found a VHS copy. Like it's that kind of movie,
Yeah.
right? But now how everything is, like it's just I think people they just want something new and fresh. I think we're finally at that point.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I've been such a huge fan of that studio and things that they're doing. And also I just have to say this just 'cause I like saying it. The new Batman movie was great.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson, man, he's awesome.
Oh,
Vampire Batman, let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it took
Let's
me
go.
a second. Like I loved the movie. Walking out, I was like, I like that, but I was like, why do I like that? And then I had to digest it a little bit, and then I watched
It was like
again.
7. It was the Batman version of 7, and I was
Yes,
totally
yes.
fine with that. Yeah,
What's in the box?
That's a great description.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, and I think that A24 is one of those studios. We actually like put out a post recently, just like thank you for creating new innovative ways and being interesting and feeling okay to take risk, and and even with Everything Everywhere All at Once, like as zany and wacky as it was, it's still all came together at the end. It still made sense. It all still worked within that movie and that realm and that world. So I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think I can see some of that influence.
And it's stuff like movies like I don't know if it's a A24 or not, but like Barbarian, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that. I've heard so many
super
good things.
creepy.
You seen it,
Barbarian's
Drake?
great.
Yeah. It's
Nice.
super
Barbarian's one of those movies like if you've never seen it and you go in with zero expectation, it's like I dare you to tell me what happens next because you
Justin
can't.
Long, man.
You know,
Justin Long is so
Yeah,
underrated.
if you see Justin Long in a movie, you know something
Yes.
bad's about to happen just to
Yes.
him.
yeah.
man.
I mean,
Yeah, and
it started at Jeepers Creepers and it just kept going in that direction.
Yeah, and I recently watched The Menu and I fell in love with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That
The Menu
was
is
so good.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But Will and are you guys familiar with Joe Bob Briggs by any chance?
I think I saw it on your Twitter. And
Okay, Joe Bob is he's just this old dude who has the show called At the Drive-In, and he just shows like really obscure horror movies, and we love watching that stuff, and we think that that's like a lot of inspiration too. For us, because I consume a lot of trash movies, like just movies that are like so bad that they're good. But there's a huge difference, right? There's movies that are made intentionally bad. But the ones that are the treasures, the ones you have to watch, are the ones where like the director / writer, producer put their heart and soul into this movie, and it just turned out to be crap.
Yeah. I think a recent one that people, I haven't seen it, but one people are pointing the finger at now is like Horrifier. I think it was Horrifier 2.
Oh, Terrifier.
Oh, Terrifier. Sorry. Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody was like, man, this movie's so bad. It's amazing. You got to watch it. And I think it broke all these different records and whatnot.
It's wild. Like they made it on the budget of like giving some dude just a Bud Light and a ride to work. And then they just killed it. Like,
nice.
So good on them.
So we've been talking a lot about like movies and movie influences and all that kind of stuff. I got a question for you though. All right, if someone came to you guys tomorrow and said, "Hey, we want Pocus Hocus to be a show," for me, some of the panels where I was thinking like, I thought Nick Cage would be. I could see Nick Cage doing it, but if you could cast anybody to be Pocus Hocus, who would it be in your mind?
My knee-jerk reaction is Gary Oldman.
Oh my god!
Okay, I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, he could be the tree in your book. He's so good.
I think Benedict Cumberbatch would be an awesome Pocus too.
Nice, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think he'd be really good too.
He's quippy. He's got kind of that vibe as well too.
Yep.
Yeah, that That's awesome. What about like Emily or the demon? What do you have any thoughts for those
So
characters?
Emily, probably like what's her name? Amy Adams. I think she could do a good Emily.
Oh yeah. Dang,
Yeah.
you're okay. You're like trying to pull like the heavy hitters. I like it.
Yeah. Hey, why not? If we're gonna do this thing, we're gonna do it right.
Yeah.
But for the demon,
Jack Black.
Will and I've actually, dude, listen. So Jack Black was one of the options that we had, but there was two others that we talked about, and that was Danny Trejo.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And we just thought that would just be hilarious.
Yeah.
And then Danny DeVito, of course.
Oh my god.
Just the voice behind like this hulking figure.
The hulking figure who's like tearing demons apart and everything, and that voice comes out. You sure you don't want to make a deal? Are you sure? Yeah. That's crazy. That'd be amazing. Yeah, man. I don't know, Drake. I know Drake had some really good questions for you, and I will say, while Drake is looking at it, like you guys are very much similar in a lot of ways and interests and whatnot. So I feel like
we're just separated by miles.
Yep, that's right, and time and destiny. But I'm glad we're here. But anyways, Drake, you have something to ask him?
While reading the books in general, right? When you're a creative, when you're putting something out there, whether that's music or whatever, there's always like a part of you that's kind of like being put onto whatever medium is going on, and a part that resonates with the audience. For me, that was kind of Pocus Hocus's like daddy situation. I don't have daddy issues, but I felt that kind of like similar vibe. So the question is like, what part of you is kind of in Pocus Hocus in that sense?
So, let's go ahead and bring this whole thing down. Are we ready to get sad, y'all?
Yeah.
I have tissue right here.
Yeah. Okay. 2019, I lost my dad. My dad struggled with alcoholism ever since I can remember. So he died when I was 29, and his lifestyle just caught up with him. So it's unfortunate, but it is just how life works out when you live hard, right? So we had to take the page out. Drake, did you have a chance to read issue 4?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so not to, I guess, potential spoilers. Pocus does happen to talk to his dad one more time. And issue 4 was dedicated to my dad, but we had to take it out for a page count. We had a page in there that was just to my dad, just one more conversation to make all the difference. Wow. And it was just one of those things, right? So Pocus, it's funny again because, like we said, it's the Death Note thing. You don't think about it until after. So after I got, we were reading it, I was like, damn. I was like, I think I threw that in there with the dad dying before he finally got a chance to see what his son felt was great, because like after my dad died, I feel like that's when my life really took off. Not because he died, Dad's dead, baby.
He kicked the bucket and I shot up like a rocket.
Yeah, kicked the bucket, shot up like a rocket. Okay, I'm gonna get that as a bumper sticker, and then just rip Dad at the bottom of it. But like after he died, it was just one of those like everything in my life just finally started coming together. Like my career was coming together, and then now this, and he'd be so proud. He was he was proud of everything that I did anyway, but this right here would be like, that's my boy, one of those things, right? But but when I really think about it, that's something that I guess interjected in there.
That's amazing, man. Knowing that right now and looking through the panels and kind of reading all the things, and I won't give it the spoilers. Knowing that now gives a whole different context to the feels to that. I was getting chills as you were talking about it, because I felt those moments in a few of those panels, especially when he's telling Pocus about some things that Pocus was like, wait, what are you talking about? And then as the dad's kind of leaving, you're kind of like, oh man, so much questions, so much there that was said but wasn't really said. So man, thank you for that story. We appreciate that.
Thank you guys for bringing up my repressed trauma.
Anytime. We're a safe space here.
We're half comic commentary, half therapy. So here we are. No, truthfully, we really do appreciate it. And I can tell like there's so much heart, there's humor in it, there's adventure, there's interesting characters. It's a fantastic book. Before we wrap things up, I'll just let Drake see if he has one more question for you, and if not, we'll kind of kick things off and kind of wrap it up.
Yeah. Final question would be, I know you have a lot of things down the barrel, and obviously you're focusing on getting all these things published and putting that out for 2023. But are there any like projects you for sure want to bring to life that you could give us a little bit of tease about?
Yeah. So we're working really hard on Pocus and getting that out, and it's a gift and a curse in the same breath for having the same team,
Mhm.
because we can only work so fast, right?
Mm-mm.
And I never want Brian to feel like he's got to work harder than what he's comfortable with, or
Right.
Jason as well, and Dave, because Dave's doing so much stuff, and all the guys are. But it's one of those things where um we have to really be careful and pick and choose how we do stuff,
I
right?
see. I see.
So
Right.
we got asked to do a horror anthology late last year for Roseblood Manor. We did that. I
Mm.
sent you guys a copy of that. It's in the thing. It's called The Wandering Man. So you
All
guys
right.
could see our first 8-page anthology, but we got asked to do issue
We're
2
checking it out for
of,
sure.
of Roseblood, and this new one's called The Skinner.
Ooh,
Ooh.
nice.
Ooh.
Dang.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to be doing that, and then me and all the guys, we have a couple projects we can't really talk about just yet that we're still in the process of developing, but expect to see a lot more from us because we're trying to stagger releases right now. So we have Pocus 2.1, Pocus 5, however you want to say it, coming Tuesday.
Yep.
which
Oh,
is
Tuesday.
which is
Okay.
just crazy. Yeah, the
Perfect.
Kickstarter launches Tuesday.
Okay, so if people want to be able to read that, they have to go on Kickstarter and find it. Where can they find Volume 2?
Yeah, so volume 2 is going to be all on Kickstarter. We set these things up for fans new and old.
Mhm.
So we never want anyone to ever feel like they're strong armed into getting something.
Yeah.
So like, sometimes you see on Kickstarter, like you can get a $300 tier and it happens just to have that one stupid item that you want.
Right.
But you
Yeah.
can't get it because then it's kind of behind a paywall, right? It's like
Mhm.
it's the battle pass for that Kickstarter.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Here's a branded backpack, a
yeah.
cinch bag or something. You're like, I want that. Yeah,
I want that,
I'll
but I
spend
don't want to pay
$100
for it.
more. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we always set our Kickstarters up to be a la carte, so you can build your own tier. And of course, we bundle and save where we can for
Mhm.
everybody. But yeah, so if you're just now getting into and what we're doing and want to see what we're doing, we have digital catch-up tiers as well as physical catch-up tiers. That we feel like are pretty competitively priced with everything. So yeah, I think one of our tiers we have Pocus 1 through 5, Grandma Chainsaw 1, and the Horse and Hell Ash Can. For that the digital is like 20-25 bucks, I think, is what we
Oh,
have it set
that's
up.
not bad at all for all
So
of that. Yeah.
yeah, we try to give you everything that we've done,
Okay.
just because we just feel like, hey, why not, right?
Right on.
And then I think a physical version of that is only like 35-40 bucks. So yeah, we try to be competitive and not put our work behind a paywall, because who are we to charge people for our hobby?
Yeah. No,
But
you guys
yeah,
keep charging because it's worth it, and you guys have a legitimate book
yeah,
now. Yeah, I just want to keep telling everybody where they
yeah,
can get this stuff. So obviously on Kickstarter, what do they have to
yeah.
search if they jump on Kickstarter?
You can search for Alan and Will, or we're the only people stupid enough to name their projects Grandma Chainsaw and Pocus Hocus. So if you just search that, and then you
Uh,
can click our profile, and it will take you to probably like any campaign that's running and all of our previous. So you can just kind of see how we run things.
yeah,
We try to run a pretty tight ship with the Kickstarter.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
we try to have the book be done at a certain point before we even launch, because we got a schedule to meet, because next coming up in March is Grandma Chainsaw 2, and then Pocus 6 and Grandma Chainsaw 3. So we're staggering releases that way, just to keep everything fun and fresh for everybody. And we're working on another story. It's called Deacon Dan's Famous Chili. We
I'm about it.
Okay, I love that already.
yeah, it's that one's going to be nuts. And then we're working on a detective story called One Sunday Afternoon. So
Oh, I
we're
like that.
yeah, we have a killer in it called the Sabbath Killer, because he only kills on Sunday. So
Damn,
we're
that's clever. I like
yeah,
that.
so we got a lot of fun stuff that we got
Right
coming up.
on. Well, Alan, it's been such a pleasure having you on. I again, we're gonna try to direct everybody. Check out the show notes. We're gonna be linking the link to their Kickstarter so you guys can pick up the books. Alan, before we let you go, when can people expect some of these books in comic book stores?
So yeah, again, I guess that kind of it's a two-parter now for the question, right?
Okay.
So you can one of the big ways to find us is on Substack, because I feel like having a newsletter has been really helpful for us, especially trying to keep everything organized.
Mhm.
Because all the seasoned comic book people I've talked to, they have all kind of said the same thing, and that is social media. It's unfortunate. It works sometimes, but how algorithms are, everything just seems like it gets buried because
Right.
there's so many people pushing out their stuff. The best way is just direct email. So we have a Substack called thetophatstudios.substack.com.
Okay.
I'll send you guys a link for that so you guys can have that.
Perfect.
But yeah, like I said, without giving too much away, Pocus Hocus is going to be maybe look for solicitation probably this summer if I had to guess.
Okay.
So yeah, just begin to look that way, and then you won't need to go through Kickstarter for all the stuff. So you can actually go to the shops. And you can order online through our publisher, SourcePoint Press, which is just wild to say that.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah,
the craziest thing now is, I guess depending on how you view it and everything, because I never like to use this word, but we will potentially have collector's items because all of our issues that we currently have on Kickstarter, you're not going to see those covers in comic book shops. So whenever it goes to shops, we're going to have 4 new covers for Pocus 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the first art.
Wow.
So I think that's kind of cool. So Brian and Jason and Dave worked up 4 new covers.
Oh my God, I want those.
I
want
the shop
them myself.
Release.
Yeah. I'm going for it. I'm going to my local comic book shop.
So yeah, now we can literally say all the covers that are on Kickstarter are solely Kickstarter exclusive.
Oh man, yeah, that Kit Wallace alternative cover is real steezy. I like that one a lot.
Yeah. Kit has done a cover for us since issue 1, and every year we try to make a stupid pun with his name, and then we just put like a bundle together where you can get every Kit Wallace cover.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Send me that link. 100%. Well, hey guys, Allen, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. It's great to hear some of the inspiration behind the comic book. Like truly not BSing at all. I've read a lot of comic books this past year, and this one was fantastic. I was hooked. It flew by. I'm excited to get to issue 4 now. Thank you so much for being here. You're an incredible guy, just funny as hell as well. Drake, do you have anything else?
No, I just thanks for taking the time. Thanks for doing all the things that you do, not only in your profession, but now your hobby, bringing that same type of care, but just in a different way. I mean, we look forward to watching you rise. And thank you for being on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. And for real, anytime. So I'd love to come back on for Grandma Chainsaw.
Hell yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Allen, if you could send us off by saying thanks for sticking it with us.
I would die first.
All right.
Thanks for sticking it with me and Thomas and Drake.
We're gonna
stick it. We're gonna stick it in the green room after this.
That's right. All night. All right, everybody. Aloha. Good night.
The Joystick Show.
If you've enjoyed what you've been listening to, we'd really appreciate a follow, subscribe, and a review. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us at JoyStickShow Joystick Show on Twitter and Instagram, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you feel like submitting topics or questions to be discussed on future episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. As always, thank you, peace out, and make it a great rest of your week.